before we get on,
Fuck.
so you know I'm not just buttering you up. You guys have been doing so good. I mean,
We are live now, Frank.
we're live.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
Well,
saying that you
I was. I
you're,
wanted to
you're
tell them.
complimenting.
I wanted to tell them privately so they knew it wasn't just a commercial. But now I have to tell everybody. No, but you guys have been doing so good. You've been the customer support you've been giving, the calls. I'm just so happy with what you guys have been doing. It's awesome.
Yeah, totally rocking. Totally.
Sorry,
rocking.
V. I didn't know we were live. Sorry, bro. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. We are live. We are live. We are live. We are live, folks. It's Rogue Coin. It's Rogue Coin right now. Welcome. We had a lot of things going on in the crypto world. Look, folks. Here's the deal. We got some hot shots here. I'm talking about crypto Cowboy. Every single one of the people that are lucky, fortunate, that are the fortunate ones that were able to go ahead and get into the trading room, that were in on the trading room on the ground floor level, watching these guys trade, picking up their tips on how to trade, what to trade, when to trade it, where to go, how's it going, what's it doing. They've done very well. And a lot of their calls, seeing it come to fruition this week, wow. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. So without further ado, Frank, I want you to take it away, man. I want you to steer this conversation because there's a lot to cover here, man. We got until we got the next 40 minutes or so to get through the whole thing. Go for it, brother.
Yeah, no, I as I was saying, you know, we've been, is it 1 week or 2 weeks? Everything goes by so quickly. How long have we had our Watch Us Trade Room open?
It's about a week and a half.
About a week and a half, yeah.
That's right.
And as I was saying, when I thought we weren't live yet, Crypto Z and Crypto Cowboy have just been, man, you know, I mean, we knew they were gonna be good, but I mean, the professionalism on the one hand, it's professionalism, how, you know, generous they are with their time and how, you know, answering people's questions, just amazing. But then on top of that, you know, we're not in the salad days again yet. It's still a little bit of a rough market, at least from my perspective. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, we're not back in that euphoria time where every day your investment goes up 10%. I saw a meme the other day when it was, you know, one of the sad lady who's crying, and it says when your crypto portfolio hasn't doubled in more than a month, you know, like, because our expectations are so ridiculous, you know. But so we're not, you know, we don't have this like screaming market right now. It's coming back, it's gaining some strength. And so it's hard to come up with trade calls. And yet, even in this market, they've come out with some amazing calls. I mean, just to look, we had first call in the room was for Litecoin right before. I mean, Z, you were right on that. We looked at it while we were talking on air, and our very first call in the room, this was about a week and a half ago, and you had some targets for Litecoin that you put out, saying that you were getting in. I mean, I'm kind of a Litecoin holder, so I didn't have to trade anything at that point, but your timing was just phenomenal. I mean, it was like so soon after that, we saw that nice run that we had on Litecoin. That was awesome. And then the very next one, in fact, 5 minutes later, you had some targets for buying Ven. And you gave us, you were saying, under this price, I'm buying all the Ven I can get. That's VEN, that's VeChain. And since then, we've seen a really nice move on Ven. In fact, I was telling Cowboy, I got in on Ven kind of early. And so in my records, it was like, I'd gotten in when it was at like $8, you know? So for me, I was like kind of down on it. And even with that very like too early buy that I made, once I followed Z's advice after that, even with that early buy, I was profitable on it. So those first two right out of the gate. And then we've had some others that were really great. But not only that, it's not only that, even in our discussion room, you know, we've got people who, you know, they say, oh, I'm in this coin, I'm nervous about it. What do you guys think? You know, stuff like that, extremely helpful content. We had Cowboy had a great call on, I think it was Ethereum Classic. And some other stuff. So it's going really good. You guys have any comments on any of those? What else did we see? What am I forgetting? I'm kind of scrolling through. I know you told us to keep an eye on OMG. We didn't actually have a call on it. We talked about it, I think, on the show.
No, we had a call. V called that one on his favorite coins.
Oh, okay, cool. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had a few of them. Like, you know, we had a few like ICX and
what's it called? I can't even think right now. ICX, Ripple for a slight bit before Ripple kind of took a tank, unfortunately.
Yep.
We had Salt, we had WTC, we had a few of those great calls, and I think the big call was Ethereum Classic before it rose up.
Yeah.
Cowboy called that, and it went fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far everything's been going well. Seems like the market is starting to recover, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
And just overall, it's creating stability in the alt market, which is just ramping up. I really think that alt season is really going to start ramping up here soon.
Yeah, it feels like it, right?
Maybe as soon as March.
Yeah,
Cool.
The conditions that we're kind of looking at right now is if Bitcoin can really, really stabilize for more than a few days over $11,000. If it stabilizes there, doesn't go down, when you have that stabilization, people become complacent with that normalcy bias that V likes to talk about. And they start taking their money out of Bitcoin and putting it into the alts. And that's when it's just like the way I kind of look at it, it's like fireworks. Like, oh, all of a sudden, there goes ARK.
Yeah.
There goes Len.
Right.
So, there was a lesson to be learned about taking profit on Ripple. So, we called Ripple and we set, I do set 3 targets. And if you think about it, like, well, why don't you just sell everything at the highest target? Why do this lower target? Well, nothing goes up in a straight line. And unfortunately, Ripple did not have the gas to go past the second target, but it did pass the first target. So what I did was I used that as a lesson to remember, okay, collect profit at targets. These targets are there for a reason. And number 2, always have stop losses in place in case the price goes back down. And that's why I set a trailing stop loss below, where that bit of profit was. So I actually was able to lock in all my profit before that went back down.
And that's one of the awesome things is having that guidance, right? Where it says, okay, here's where to take some profit here, and here's where to set your stop loss. You and I did a video on how to set stop losses for those who are actually in the crypto school, because we got our Watch Us Trade chat room, which is a separate thing from the crypto school. We recommend both if you're into trading, because we are adding to that crypto school library of videos on trading. So you and I did a video on that, on how to set stop losses. And we've also talked, I think this is very helpful, because a lot of us, I'm sure this is true of a lot of people in the Rogue Money audience, a lot of us are just big time hodlers, right? We like to hold on for dear life, want to get as many Litecoin as we can, as many OMG or whatever coin we're into, a lot of times guided by our friends like Cliff and Bix and people like that, and of course V. And so one thing I found really helpful learning from you guys and watching you guys in our Watch Us Trade room is, you can have that big stack of HODL on the side. That doesn't mean you can't have a certain percentage that's in play that is looking to make profits in the short term. And that's, I think, for some people, that's kind of hard. They're like, well, I want all the Litecoin I can get because it's going to be $1 billion someday. Yeah, that's great. But in the meantime, you can create some cash flow by looking at, like, for example, your Ethereum Classic. I've never had any Ethereum Classic, not really interested in Ethereum Classic, not holding Ethereum Classic. Doesn't mean I can't make money off of Ethereum Classic.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that Z and I practice here, and remember, all the stuff we talk about on these casts and in the crypto school, none of it's intended as financial advice. It's not meant for people to take to use for financial gain. That's why we have a trading room that's called Watch Us Trade. It's really more for entertainment purposes. People always have to do their own research, and I do my own research. And Z and I have a few things that we work as a team, and we also practice a lot of discipline. Z, what do you do as far as like, what percentage you have as kind of like a holding bag, and what percentage you have?
Great question.
Yeah. So, as I always sort of tout to, especially to young traders, new traders in the field, what I personally do is I hold, and this is me being a day trader. I trade every single day. I actually still hold 40% minimum of my bag in a long-term hold. So originally it was PPT, now it's Ven. That is something that I put on my ledger and I don't touch.
Nice.
I just don't touch it. And then afterwards, I will then put close to 20 or 30% of the rest of my bag into midterm holds. So these are holds that I'm going to hold for, you know, a month or two plus. And this is just, I'm still not going to touch this. This is just going to be like a coin that has a good, you know, short-term future. Maybe some exchange coins, like for example, like KuCoin, when I bought KuCoin, and a few of those, maybe some ICOs. And then afterwards, I have my trading bag, which will be the remaining 30 or 20%, depending on how bullish I am.
And that's as a day trader. So that's going to be...
That's as a day trader, correct. Yeah. That's as somebody who's like in the market looking at charts every single day with Cowboy, correct.
What would you guys suggest? You know, we have different levels of people who are, not different levels of people, but people at different, people in different places in our Watch Us trade room. So what would you suggest for the person who, you know, maybe they're going to check in with the trades when they get home from work once a day, that kind of thing, and they're just going to set something up. They don't have a ton of time to be moving in and out of tokens and coins and stuff like that. What would be a reasonable percentage to set aside for trading versus hodling? I know it's really specific to each person, but you got any thoughts on that?
Well, I think it depends on your level of risk adversity. So, you know, if you really are, I know people who simply don't day trade, everything's hodl. I mean, I know people who have everything on the exchanges. I wouldn't recommend the latter. Meaning I certainly don't recommend people keeping all your stuff on exchanges. No. Personally, I'm a bit more conservative in a sense than Z. In a certain sense, I have my Cowboy moments where Z probably shakes his head and, you know, just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But you know, I do have more of an 80%. 80% of my bag is generally on a ledger. 20% stays on exchanges where I'm, you know, doing these trades. And so let me see, I'd say about 85% of that 80% that stays on the ledger is like, say, Ven or PPT or any of these long-term holds that I've had historically. The other are like gems. You know, I bought like a Matrix Network a couple of weeks before our Watch Us trade room opened up. We were, you know, I found out that Matrix is a good buy. Matrix chain, still not a bad way to go. But I mean, I think I'm up like 3 times on it. I threw, you know, 5 Ether at it. That's still on the ledger, and it's going to remain on the ledger sort of as a midterm hold.
Right.
So, you know, I have that stack. And then every time that 20% that's on the exchanges becomes, say, 30%, I scoop off that top and I put it back into my hodl bag. I'll change it into, and I'll change it into whatever my main hold is and put it in there.
So you're taking profits and adding them to the hodl bag. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And one more. Well, I'll represent the brand new trader. How's that? So I'm obviously not brand new to crypto, since I run the crypto school. that would be bad. But haven't done a lot of trading, mostly just, you know, occasionally if I see something coming up, I'll get in it. And so for me, I because of time, because of experience, I trade very modestly. So as I'm starting, I'm just putting, you know, I think I started with I threw a handful of Litecoin onto Binance, converted some to BTC, and then got into a few of the trades that you guys had. But I don't even know if it's 10% of my my portfolio. It might even been as little as 5%. But that's just to get started. And as I gain experience and confidence and see some things coming up, I'm sure I'll expand on that. But here's another question for you guys that I've been wondering. What do you do? I mean, you guys essentially, this is what you guys don't have, like, jobs, right?
Yeah, we have a job. Our job is to let people watch us trade.
Exactly. So, but other than that, well, I guess in terms of
wait a minute, wait, hold on. Wait, let me get this straight here. You mean to tell me that, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen and it's for everyone, but you mean to tell me that there's a chance here, a chance that if somebody were to go into the trading room, join, start trading, learn how to trade, and start taking profits, they can quit their day job?
Oh, I haven't had a day job since I worked with Z last year.
You know what, and even and it's one of those things, honestly, V. Yeah. At least from me and Cowboy's experience, that yes, it only really takes. It's kind of scary, but it only really takes actually one really good trade in which we call similar to like getting in on Venn really early for you guys to, have retirement in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I've heard it said you don't have to be right every time. If you're right a fairly modest percentage of the time, you can actually be wildly successful with stuff like this.
Yeah, that's my fiance.
Yeah,
correct.
That's awesome.
I know guys who got into PPT, who were new to the market, who got into PPT during the ICO stage.
Yeah.
And when PPT hit $70, you can imagine, they bought 50,000 plus PPT worth.
Wow.
It's like it only takes one. Like I'm very excited personally for one chain. At that time, I could only throw 10 Ethereum. It was a lot for me. I'm very excited about that coin. And those are coins that, we are, Cowboy and I are always looking at, and we're always looking for the next best thing, the next gem or so forth. And those are things that we also focus on inside the trading group.
Yeah. Yeah. That hasn't been a huge emphasis yet, but people who are in the room should know that's coming. These guys, before we started this room, these guys have I'll just say they have a wealth of information. So,
well, let's look at a couple of stories very briefly.
Yeah.
Z and I both started with a very small amount of money. I mean, $2,500. Well, actually, I think we both started with like $4,000. At one point, I was down to 2,500, and at this point, it's easy for me to throw 20 Ethereum at a new ICO if I want to. Like that's a small portion of my bag. So. Like Z said, if you do your own research, and if our trading room is part of the research that you're doing, you can basically make this your life if you want to. We have that lady who now is able to feed her kids. I know we talked about this a couple of times, but for those who are new to the show, in our other trading room, that this lady wanted to thank us one day, and she writes us this big long letter and tells a story and shares to everybody very publicly that she had a deadbeat dad, 3 kids in an apartment. They were having a hard time paying for food, and she went ahead and joined the call room that Z and I had before, and now she's quintupled her money within a few weeks. She's able to pull enough money out to feed her kids and pay her bills.
It's incredible.
So, and again, not everybody's results are going to be the same.
Correct.
However, Z and I make a living out of this, and this is all we do now. And
that's freaking awesome, man. Because over here at Rogue, especially with me, what I always emphasize is people taking destiny in their own hands. There's nothing better than working for yourself. There's nothing better than, I'm going to wake up at 8 o'clock instead of at 6 o'clock and try to chug down a hot cup of coffee and run out the door by 7 a.m., sitting in traffic and going to work for a deadbeat boss that I can't stand and a stinking company that I hate. Okay. Watching my paycheck, watching the corporation that you work for, and you having totally competing interests, meaning your job is your desire is to make money and their desire is to keep overhead down, which is your paycheck. I can wake up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, crawl out of bed, do a few hours of trading, have the rest of the day to enjoy with my family. Folks, is this resonating with any of you out there?
Yeah.
Is this resonating with you? You want to talk about freedom. You want to talk about an opportunity. You want to talk about a life-changing opportunity. My God. I'm about to quit what I'm doing and join up with these guys.
You know what else, man? I mean, V, you know that I've been very into options in the past, options trading.
Yeah.
And the thing was, I could never get my account big enough to have any margin of error. It was always just like, that was at a time when things were very different for me. But with cryptos, it's like you can be involved in this with such a small beginner account and move from there. It's so different than trading stocks or options or something like that. It's like it's just a much lower bar of entry, and
one thing,
and
Frank,
way
that I like
bigger
to emphasize.
opportunity.
Yeah, one thing I also emphasize with people is this: you want to come in with a big pot. You want to come to the trading room with Cowboy and Z. You want to come to the trading room with a big pot, and you're like, you know what? I want to, man. If I put 4,000 in, or 1,000, or $2,000 into this trades that I'm about to do, what if I put 100? What if I put 200?
Yeah, I had one of my buddies do that. Mm-hmm.
There you go. And you know what? And if you don't have that kind of money, guess what? You can go to remaincalm.net, apply for a personal funding loan where you can get up to 600,000 unsecured. And believe it or not, I got people that I know personally that have taken loans from us to the tune of damn near 600K. And the way they're paying the loan back is they're trading cryptos. They're crushing their loan payment, and they've tripled what they've made. Do you see how smart people work, folks? Do you see how smart, resourceful people?
It's all based on leverage. It's all based on leverage.
Yeah,
bingo.
Absolutely.
You can either sit there and bitch and complain about everything wrong in your life, or you can take action and make something different.
It's the same thing goes with a very successful CEO. You know, he ultimately he's leveraging smart talent. He's leveraging good employees. I mean, it's the same thing goes with trying to being successful.
No. Here's a picture that I can paint that speaks to everything that we're all saying. And Z knows a lot about this. So last year, I'm working at a job, and I like the job. Don't get me wrong. But do you think? Yeah. Okay. I didn't want to be negative. Z and I work. Z's having a similar experience, but Z's getting even shorter end of the stick on that one. But so we're working. Z and I are working. We build alternative energy stations out in California, and so Z's on the engineering side, and I'm on the construction management side. And so I'm getting up every day, literally at 4:00 a.m. You think I want to do that? I'm not an early bird, dude. I am not an early bird. So I'm sucking down this coffee like V says. I'm rolling out. I'm on the site by 6 o'clock. The guys are showing up all hungover. I got to deal with this all day. I mean, look, I was still very thankful that I had that work. Okay, I'm not putting it down, and I'm not putting down people who work for a living. However, I now found myself not that long ago making a last-minute decision to take my fiance for a trip up to Oregon. Just why? Why not? Because I have the money and the time. And you know what? I'm sitting on the airplane. I've got my laptop open. I'm trading at 35,000 feet. I'm making money. My fiance she's happy. She's asleep next to me. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, this is freedom. Yeah. I could go anywhere. I could do anything I want to do. I could be on the way to frickin' Fiji in the air making money. And then I could close it up for a few days, spend some time with my lady. I could pay for I was able to send my goddaughter some silver. I mean, all these things I could do. And it's through this kind of work. So that's the picture I wanted to paint.
That's awesome.
And dude, you can't put a price on that. That's called quality of life. That's called quality of life.
Mm-hmm. And I learned that the hard way how important quality of life is.
Oh man, I can imagine as an engineer, you forget about it. You're racking your brain 16 hours a day.
Yeah, I was working 12 hours a day every single day for very extensive clients like Disney and so forth that they don't care. They throw money at the workers, and everybody accepts it, and you end up working like 12, 15 hours, and it's terrible. It's just it's not worth it, guys.
Yeah. No, it's not worth it. I think this is a huge career opportunity for people. Look, you're not going to have this chance ever again.
Yeah, I was just going to say that this is a rare moment in time. What's happening in cryptos?
It happens every 100 years or so. That the stock market began in, I want to say, and forgive me for not knowing the exact date, but it was the kind of the 1910s or the early 1920s. Okay. And for a period of time, I want to say 3 or 4 years, it was up. That's where stocks went. They just went up. There was not very much in a pullback. Mm-hmm. And so, anybody who had money in the stock market, who was brave enough to try this new stock market thing. What do you mean I'm going to put some money to these people and they're going to give me some back? What is this? I don't know. I'm scared. I'm not going to do it. Well, the ones who did it early, their families don't have to work for another 20 generations. And we're there now.
And guys, earlier this morning on the show, one of the things I highlighted for anybody that missed, me and CJ, we highlighted the number one reason why banks are terrified and governments are terrified about cryptos. See, forever you would put your money into their coffers. They take it, they collateralize it because, you know, everybody knows this. You know, you put your money in a checking account, it's no longer your money, it's the bank's. You become what's called an unsecured lender. So if the bank ever fails, you'll get your money back via FDIC anytime between 0 to 99 years. So kiss your money goodbye. Okay. Now, these banks are freaking insolvent. So you have insolvent banks like JP Morgan, which have a $386 billion market valuation. Why is JP Morgan afraid of cryptos? Well, the crypto market has a $500 billion market valuation and growing. That's why they're afraid. They're afraid because the JP Morgan market valuation is fake. It's based on fictitious numbers that mean nothing. It's fake. It's books that are being cooked, number one. There's no trust or honesty in the system, number two. There's no liquidity, number three. Number four, there's no solvency. Number five, there's no trust. Number six, there's about 42 trillion or to 50 trillion worth of derivative debt that JP Morgan is sitting on. So you have a zombie institution that is illiquid, insolvent, functions via financial fraud. Its existence is predicated on the fact on how effectively it could commit fraud, and has been fined tens of billions of times to the tune of tens of billions of dollars. They are afraid. Why? Because you're not putting your money into them. You're taking your money out. You're keeping it with yourself. You're putting it into your own crypto wallet, which is returning the power of manual labor, which is returning the power of labor from some damn institutional corporation that doesn't give a rat's rear end about you into your own hands. Never has an opportunity like cryptocurrencies has ever erupted in human history. That is why I am on the record when I said this years ago. Cryptocurrencies and the blockchain is the most important human invention since the advent of fire.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Indeed. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm with it. I mean, the cryptos are so cool because the JP Morgans are a part of a cartel of banks that basically comprise, and V, you can correct me if I'm wrong on some of this, but they sort of comprise the Fed. And so essentially what these, and this is such a basic thing that nobody, V, you're an economist. You know, I have a degree in economics from a top 10 economics university, and I learned about a third of what was good and 2/3 of it was crap coming from the university. Most of my economic background came from things that I studied afterwards. And the point is that money is created and loaned to us at interest, right? So in order to pay that money off, we have to take more loans at interest to pay off that interest. Now, I know that a lot of people may not be familiar with how interest works, but if you borrow money to pay other money off, the problem simply gets bigger. It does not get smaller. And the system is designed for us to have to borrow money in order to pay off money. It is the biggest Ponzi scheme I have ever heard of, and we all fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. And if I was to have a few million tons of gold and create my own bank, the government would show up to my front door, probably put a gun in my face and say, stop this, and we're going to take your gold because you can't compete with the dollar. That's because I would have a centralized bank. Cryptocurrency is a decentralization of financial instruments, all relative to a particular utility. So basically, there's no one they can put a gun to. Bitcoin has tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of computers around the world. You're going to send somebody to 10 or 20,000 places to put a gun to a computer's face? You think the computer's going to care? Cryptos aren't going anywhere, folks. I mean, maybe one day they'll go somewhere, but for the moment, it's working. And for the moment, we're making a living off it. And we are disrupting the financial system. We are no longer dependent on these masters who have been controlling our destiny for so long. Now we're the master.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Exactly correct. It's a game changer.
Hey guys, can I say some exciting news that I kind of got just now? Well, exciting rumors, I should say. So
even better.
So Venn, right? You know, it's a hot topic. You know, we've been very, very bullish on Venn. Venn seems to be sort of like the promised child coming up. you know, partnerships with China and so forth. Where I think we were talking about the Coca-Cola kid the other day. Was I talking about the Coca-Cola kid with you guys?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, Z.
No,
Oh, okay. Anyways, there's this guy on 4chan. He's called the Coca-Cola Kid, and essentially he made a name for himself because he seems to have inside information about the whole China crypto scene.
I think it's you. Sorry, go ahead.
I wish. I'm like the apple juice kid. But yeah, so the Coca-Cola kid, right? He's made a name for himself because he has called every single landmark for Venn since November.
Wow.
And he has not made one mistake so far.
Incredible.
And he recently posted a script based, I think, similar to like this really sort of this like how do you say it? I think I could just share it with you guys, but it's like this passage that's all jumbled up, and essentially, if you break it down, it says that Venn is going to have partnerships with Yida, which is essentially a China holdings company in Hong Kong, based in Hong Kong, and it's actually traded publicly in Hong Kong, and it's massive. I think it's like it trades about $5 or $10, and then afterwards, they're also getting a partnership with BMW.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Now
and it's getting a partnership with BMW.
Yeah. So Yida and BMW, and this is really so the way you look at Coca-Cola Kid's script, and I'll share this inside the trading room, is that you essentially look at his jumbled words, and then you can like take a piece of his jumbled words. It's like a code in a sense.
Yeah.
And the first one was Yida, and it was actually recently just confirmed that it was Yida that Venn does have a partnership with. And the second one, according to that same sort of jumbled code, is BMW.
Wow.
Hey, Z, how much do you think I could get for my hand? Because I need to sell it and buy some more.
I literally was about to text Cowboy where I can unload this other coin to get more Venn. Well, before you did that, I'm like, I should wait till we're done. I should like, I'm literally like, can I get rid of this one on Binance to get more Venn? Like,
hey, if people want to find out, join the trading room. Join the trading room. Entrepreneurs are being made. Millionaires will be broken on this thing. I'm telling you right now. We're going to be breaking millionaires in the coming months, guys. Millionaires will be made in this trading room. I believe it.
This is going to be the biggest transition of wealth, guys, and you want to be there. You want to be there for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, we got about 5 minutes left. Would you guys give out your comments? Go ahead.
Can I ask a question before we go?
Go for it.
We got time, V. This is like a question. I already chatted with Cowboy about this a little bit. Z, this thing with Litecoin Cash, the fork is complete. It's actually Litecoin Cash is actually trading now. Realist News, that's JSnip just tweeted out that it's trading over. It's like 550 right now. Now I know Charlie Lee said it was a scam, and I understand where he's coming from that. But I mean, the truth is, somebody did in fact fork the coin, and you can in fact claim those tokens and sell them. So Z, do you know anything about the security concerns? I know people are afraid of putting their keys into the wallet that's coming from the Litecoin Cash people. I was just wondering if you had any insight into that.
You have to be careful with that. I mean, honestly, if I had to choose, as much as I want to trust other people, Charlie Lee is the creator of Litecoin, so I would have to go with Charlie Lee's advice here and think that it is a scam, and something that if I were to put any risk, especially the amount of Litecoin that I own, then it's not worth it. What you can do, however, is that you can test it out with just like 1 or 2 Litecoin and see whether it works out.
Yeah.
Well, do that,
it's the concern is you would have to download their wallet, right? And then put your private key into that wallet to get those tokens, and that has obviously people freaked out. They even say on the Litecoin Cash website not to do that, which it's like, okay, well, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, I would. I would
gotta get them somehow.
I would wait for more concrete information. What I'll do is I'll look up some more information about it today, and I'll post it inside the trading group.
It seems like the kind of thing coders would be able to spot pretty quickly if there was some kind of back.
Correct, exactly. And if you
we would know pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah, if you get Charlie Lee, who's stating that it's a scam, That's a red flag.
The reason he's saying, my assumption is the reason he's saying it's a scam is because it's not affiliated with Litecoin. So he doesn't want them using his trademark for Litecoin, right? But a lot of people seem to be interpreting it as, it's some kind of, malicious scam to get your keys or something like that. I'm not sure those two things necessarily follow, right? Like I get from his perspective, it's a scam in the sense that it's not really Litecoin doing it. It's someone else doing it. It's not authorized. At the same time, these tokens are trading. There's free money there.
There was also
trading at $5 and you get 10 per Litecoin.
Tokens were also trading with BitConnect too. So, I mean,
yeah, sure.
I'll put it this way. I'm not sure what Charlie Lee said by it's a scam. However, I'm looking at the actual reason for Litecoin Cash. The Bitcoin forks, the biggest one that created Bitcoin Cash, that happened because of concerns with scalability. That was the SegWit, right?
Real reason.
That was the real reason. Now, Litecoin had SegWit implemented. Like that's part of the reason people like Litecoin, and that was done last year. So what is Litecoin Cash? Why even have it? Am I going to go? What's the risk versus reward? You got Litecoin worth over $200. You're going to put them in a wallet to get a $5 coin where you could get it ripped off. You know what? I got so many other opportunities right now. That one's just gonna. I'm gonna watch what happens from the sidelines, and if people make money, I don't really care.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't risk my Litecoin over it. That's for sure.
And I guess the last thing before we go, I'm sure people want to know what's going to happen with Bitcoin this week. So, and I'll make this very quick. So on the dailies, CryptoZ and I were looking at it yesterday. It looked a bit bearish on the daily. And if you look at the chart right now, what I've drawn looks sort of like an upward wedge. And I've got a lot of people who are like, hey, you called bearish yesterday, and did you not look at the 4 hour and the 1 hour? Okay, I called bearish on the daily. So nothing happens in a straight line. Now, when I see an upward wedge, things tend to dump from an upward wedge. And I'm going to switch the chart over to that happening yesterday with a different coin. And we're going to talk a little bit, like for about 30 seconds about that coin. It's Lisk. And Lisk has a rebrand coming in. I think it's on the 20th. However, Lisk had an upward wedge. And if you take a look at what happened.
Well, right there, even Cowboy, right there. If you look at the 17th, Bitcoin did have an upward wedge right there. If you look at the previous, it dumped.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go back to that, but I'm already here, so let's just draw this real quick and we'll go back to Bitcoin because I know we're running out of time.
That is a bear flag.
Yeah. We're looking at a bear flag. But this right here, I'm drawing the wedge. This is what happens with upward wedges. Commonly, not always. Frank and I did a video on that, on triangles. You see how it just dumped right out of here? Yeah. Well, now what Z's going to show us when I go back here is Z's going to show us what happened with Bitcoin on GDAX in the same respect, where there was an upward wedge and it dumped. Let me see. Z, show us where you're talking about.
So if you go back to BTC,
I'm on there now.
Oh, I'm sorry, it hasn't caught up yet.
Okay.
I'm looking through the YouTube. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So if you just look at it around the 17th, look at the 17th. So
right here.
Yeah, 2 days ago. Yeah. So as you see right there, just right before, guys, it had an upward wedge, and just like we called it, there's an up. No, in front. So on the 17th marker, right there. So it had an upward wedge, and then it dumped. And then it took a dump down. But we're obviously not focusing on that yet because we went past it. But it did in fact dump. And however, there was enough support for it to hold up. So obviously, guys, TA doesn't work 100% of the time. It doesn't even work 100% of the time for stocks, let alone cryptocurrencies. So even the best people, especially with BTC, have a hard time charting it. But what we can do is that we can play the the numbers game.
Absolutely.
So bottom line, what are you seeing in the next couple days for BTC?
You know what? If this upward wedge plays out, and if you look at the daily chart, I actually posted in the trading room, and I don't want to give away too much stuff for free on the show here, but on the trading room, the daily looks pretty bearish. So. You have this, and the screen may not have caught up yet for the listeners here, but I'm going to draw some arrows and things, and then we'll probably call it quits here. I know we got to go here. So this I'm just going to say it's trading at a critical level. It could go either way from here. You know, the $12,000 and $13,000 are resistances. So it's kind of one of those things where if it breaks 12 or if it breaks 13, we could see a big rise. If it bounces back down, this blue line that I've drawn here is about the 10,100 mark. And that seems to be kind of a new support. And if it breaks below that, it could possibly go as low as 8,300 or maybe 9,500, but I'm thinking 8,300. That might be the hard floor at this point.
Wow.
Z, does that all line up, or do you see anything different there?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I could see it bouncing down and jumping back up, but you know, like you said, you know, we have that transition right there with the Moku cloud right there. That's a little bit concerning.
Save that for the trading room, gents.
We're
out of time. What we'll do is this, Z, say your closing comments, and Cowboy, and then Frank, and I'll take this thing away. Go ahead.
You know, guys, I really am trying to emphasize that I really, in my opinion, think that the alt market is starting to come back up. We've been firing calls up as soon as Bitcoin sort of stabilized. Anytime it stabilizes or gets a little bit bullish, we're launching out calls because, you know, we're seeing stuff, we're starting to see things, and we've been sort of standstill for about a month and a half. And right now, it's really starting to come into the alt like time. And I really think that we could see this really blow up as soon as early March. So, you know, really try to get in here, guys. It's going to be good.
Yeah, quit hodling and good.
Yeah, what Z said. That's what my closing comments are. What Z said.
Perfect. Frank, go ahead.
All right, my closing comments, real quick. We got 3 things going on at the cryptoschool.io. You have to have the or you end up in Kazakhstan. The cryptoschool.io, and there's 3 things going on there. We have educational content on the Crypto School. You'll see the video stuff. That's $297. That's a one-time fee. It's not a subscription. Then we have our support chat room, which is just a few bucks a month. That's very easy. We appreciate people who do that. It helps us support what we're doing on a continuing basis, even if you're not in there all the time. We appreciate it. And then we have our Watch Us Trade, which is a chat room. I had somebody message me. They're like, where are the videos? Videos are on the Crypto School. Watch Us Trade is a chat room, and it has great support from Crypto Cowboy and Crypto Z, and I'm on there sometimes trying to help when I can. And what they're doing there is they're showing you what they're doing as full-time traders. They're saying, here's what I'm doing. It's for educational and entertainment purposes only. We don't give investment advice, but they're showing you what they're doing. It's extremely helpful. I've learned a ton from ducking in there whenever I can. So learn about all of that at thecryptoschool.io. Thecryptoschool.io. And thanks for having us, V. We appreciate it.
Frank, real quick, that's the trading room, correct? Watch Us Trade.
Yeah, you'll see a tab. All of that's on the website. Look around a little bit. I'm going to clean it up in the next few days, put some videos to explain what everything is. Okay. But if you take a minute and read, you'll see what you're buying in every case. There's 3 different things there. It's at thecryptoschool.io. And once you hit that, yes, it goes to remaincalmschool.com. somebody freaked out about that the other day. Am I in the right place? Yes, the cryptoschool.io is just it redirects to that school.
Perfect. Yeah, the crypto school.
Yes.
And you click Watch Us Trade, and that's the trade room.
Watch Us Trade is where the trade room is.
Yeah, I brought that up on the screen for us here.
Oh yeah, very good. Thanks, man.
Thank you guys for joining us and explaining this whole entire thing. Exciting stuff. We'll be back again on Friday, folks. So if you missed the show, go back and listen to it. It's already recorded live and available for you right now on YouTube, Rogue Money, the YouTube channel. So listen to the interview. It's Rogue Coin. It's from today's date, and we'll be back again on Friday. So keep it tuned here. Happy trading, all of you, and happy hunting. Go out and get that money.